And I call the honourable member for Durack.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I do rise tonight to speak on the Marriage Amendment Definition and Religious Freedoms Bill. Deputy Speaker, the 2016 election saw for the first time an Australian government elected with a mandate to provide a path to marriage equality. We now find ourselves one step away from the end of that path, Deputy Speaker. The postal survey is the reason we are at this point today, Deputy Speaker, and I believe it was the right direction for us to take to bring about such significant social change, giving ownership of the decision not to some 226 politicians in this place, but to all Australians to have their say. The leadership from Tony Abbott whilst he was Prime Minister and the continuation of the policy to hold a plebiscite on this very important social change continued under the leadership of Prime Minister Turnbull, and both of them must be commended for their leadership. With a national turnout nudging 80%, this process that we undertook now has been vindicated. The scare campaign from those opposite and their assorted friends on the left about a divisive and vitriolic debate did not come true. And so I thank the Australian public for having their say on this very important issue. Despite their enthusiastic embrace of this result, Deputy Speaker, it should be noted that those opposite opposed the bill to conduct the plebiscite in the first place, and despite their rhetoric this week and leading up to this week, we must not forget they did precious little to advance this cause during the time in government. Very disappointingly, they are paying lip service to conscience by denying their members a free vote on amendments. The Australian Labor Party does not occupy the moral high ground on this issue, despite their posturing. History will show that it was this side of the parliament that brings about same-sex marriage, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, it is right and proper that this institution is extended and strengthened under the coalition, and I extend my welcome to all same-sex couples around Australia who can now, upon the finalisation of this bill, have their relationship recognised and registered by the state as a union between two people at the exclusion of all others voluntarily entered into for life. Deputy Speaker, we know and we've heard much about that there will be amendments that will be introduced into the House relating to a variety of amendments, such as amendments relating to having multiple definitions of marriage, conscientious objection by civil celebrants, the right to freedom of expression and protections for that expression, protection of charities, shields against detrimental conduct by public officials, and protections for parents' right to withdraw their children from certain classes. Deputy Speaker, I am particularly concerned about parental rights in a school setting, that they be protected, and I do look forward to the introduction of amendments which address those concerns. While the public now may expect us to get on with the job and legislate same-sex marriage, and I expect that will happen well and truly before Christmas, by the end of this week, they also expect us to keep delivering all other facets of good government, and I look forward to continuing to do so. Deputy Speaker, the participation rate in my electorate of Durack in the postal survey was the lowest turnout in Western Australia, which I do believe shows that although this is an important issue in my electorate, it is not necessarily a top-order issue, and I do respect that and respect the people in Durack. Turnout in Durack was lowest amongst those aged 18 to 24%, with only 53 participating in the postal survey. Interestingly enough, Mr Deputy Speaker, participation increased through each age group, with those aged 65 and over having the highest turnout with some 83%. I think what this tells us, Deputy Speaker, is that there was a large number of older Australians in my electorate of Durack who voted yes, and I think a lot of people would be very surprised at that, given the demographics of Durack, or what people expect the demographic of Durack. Deputy Speaker, I personally voted yes in the postal survey and will do likewise when we vote on this bill. And I do so with the backing of the majority of Australian respondents, a majority of West Australian respondents and a majority of respondents in my electorate of Durack, with some 59% of those who voted yes. Back in 2015, the town of Port Hedland passed a local law to use its limited legislative power to formally recognise same-sex unions. Now, Deputy Speaker, you wouldn't expect a town in the Pilbara to pass such local laws, given it's dominated by its harsh landscape and, wall-to-wall, fly-in, fly-out workers to be so progressive, so I congratulate them on that. The first Headland couple who took the opportunity to have their relationship formally recognised was my friend Gloria and her partner Nikki. With the passing of the same-sex marriage legislation this week, Gloria and Nikki will be able to be legally married, and I know that will be a very happy day, and I will be the first to congratulate them. Mr Deputy Speaker, I commend this bill to the House.
I thank the honourable member for Durack. The question